Hello, Alexa here with my two boys. Brad? No, that's wrong. It's weird. Brad and Brody. So we are here sitting down to...
We're very professional.
This one's not live. This one's not live, so we're okay.
I wish this one was live.
So do I.
This is the good content. We're real
Don't
people.
even cut this.
No, I think we should keep it. Alexa's going to screw up the title anyway. So we are sitting down again to talk about LUX Homes. So we are here to talk about what is a preliminary building agreement and why does this matter?
Nailed it.
Don't leave me hanging. So I guess let's start off. What is a PBA?
Well, it's our first agreement that we go through in our phase to build your home. It's where we price out your house. We do all the design work. So that's the architectural design, the interior design. We engage with engineers and we come up with our final price and exactly what you're going to get in your house.
Nice. So are you going to add to that?
Yeah, so it's a paid service that we offer, and it can be looked at kind of like a feasibility study for large commercial projects or industrial projects. People want to know what it's going to cost to do a project before they jump right into, when can I finish, when can I start, when can I finish this product? So our preliminary building agreements work right through the process of, design, interior design, selections, pricing, quoting, finalize a proposal, and then we complete a schedule with that once we know the scope of work that we're looking at.
So this is done. My next question was going to be, this is done usually at the beginning when you're starting to think about a home.
Yeah, we do it at the very beginning. That way, like Brody said, we can give you your cost. Because two of the biggest questions we get is, what's it going to cost and how long is it going to take to get in our house? And I have no idea what it's going to cost you to build your house because I don't know what you want in it. And I don't know how big you're building your house either. And what other factors are there? Are you on the side of a hill? Are we hitting bad ground? So we try and take all that into account when we're coming up with a price. We take all those steps to kind of look at it all. We can give you that guaranteed fixed price so that at the end of the job, we're not charging you $200,000 or $300,000 more to finish that project because we've heard of it before. And we don't want to be those contractors that say we can build you something for X amount of dollars and then we can't.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of, the reason we went to this model is because we had a lot of experience in losing jobs and people coming back to us and saying, that rough budget you gave me, what did that include and what kind of finishes did you think I was going to get? And we go through a lot of time, just asking questions in the planning stages. So even when we were giving these rough budgets, we kind of had an idea of the quality of finish people would want. And your interior finishes, it can bridge six figures quite easily from a low end to a mid-grade to a high-end finish. So when you're losing a job because you've given a rough budget of, $250,000 higher than the next person, well, they just look at it like this guy can do it for cheaper. And then they find out what that budget allowed them, what their allowance was for flooring, what their allowance was for cabinetry. And a lot of the times, once they get their interior finishes to where they want them, they end up coming in similar to the pricing that we had given them in the beginning.
I always say allowance should be a swear word in construction because I feel like it's an opportunity for somebody just to buy a job. So if you come to us with an allowance of, let's say, $1 million, I can make any budget sheet, Excel spreadsheet equal out to $1 million. But we take that time to really figure out through the whole process what you guys want and what you want to build and what the end product's going to look like. So we can give you a realistic number. We do have a certain playground that we play in. So we do give a budget number at the beginning and we say this is kind of where we think it's going to end up. Does it work for you or not? And then from there, we'll take that number and work it into our preliminary build agreement. And then that's how we kind of go shopping with fixtures and try and keep people on track in their budgets. So like if Brody gives a finish of $60,000 for cabinetry or whatever the line item is, we let the designers know we can't go over that with labor and materials. And that's how we were able to stay within the budget to deliver that project first. If we do it cost plus, we just don't know what we're going to end up getting at the end of it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you have something.
Yeah, we can just keep adding on to that. The one nice thing about, we do give you a rough budget. So you sign a preliminary building agreement with us. it starts off with a what's your budget to build, and here's what we think you could get. Here's your allotted allowances for these items. And then as we go shopping and we get the real pricing back, we're very transparent in that, okay, we budgeted you $55,000 for your kitchen cabinetry. It came in at 40. So like now we've got a surplus of 15K. We find that clients always end up using their budget. Sometimes they don't like telling us what their whole budget is in thoughts that, well, you're just going to spend to my budget. We don't really feel the need to spend your money to your budget. We feel that majority of the time they do that on their own. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, like, if you can save money in one spot that you're planning on spending, you can spend it somewhere else, or you can put it in your jeans.
Or you can get that luxury item that you want, right?
Yeah,
So.
an upgrade. Okay, well, to me, this agreement sounds like it's really actually protecting the customer and the client, because you are trying to help not be like, oh, and here's another bill for this that you didn't know about.
It's interesting you say that, because when I had my contracts done by a lawyer, and when we said we want to do the fixed price model, he was actually saying that they were. Well, he's saying they were asking me for advice because they're going to court over a cost plus contract for their client fighting with somebody else, and there's just nothing in a cost plus contract you can go back on, really. You're not supposed to give the people a price for the house, whereas a fixed price agreement, it has a bunch of terms in there and schedules in there that we have to meet and deliver that product. Otherwise, we're the ones who are on the hook for that. So I feel like it does give the client the peace of mind that we can deliver that project for the price we set and on the schedule.
I love that.
Oh, just go ahead.
You and Mira on top of each other.
I mean, I just want to get my 2 cents in.
Yeah, you go, Brody.
Yeah,
Give
like,
us the good news.
It's all bad news. Now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Wrecked it. No, I think what I was going to say is that it also allows you to work together on a preliminary agreement. So when a client comes in, we like to talk about it as kind of a dating period. And like, you're getting to know each other. So you work through a preliminary build agreement. Maybe your personalities clash. Maybe, there's frustrations in there, and you realize, like, I don't think I want to be tied to this builder for the next 10 years while we build this house, go through our warranty phase. We'll still finish the package. We'll still finish the proposal. You can then pick that up and take it and run to 10 different builders and ask them, price this home out. That what they're quoting is the same items. So you're getting the same flooring, you're getting the same cabinetry, you're getting the same finishes, because we present you with a package that shows you exactly what you're getting in that home. So even if you don't use us as the builder, Brad's probably upset I'm saying this, but you are getting something out of it. It's a paid service, but you walk away with a fully detailed package, elevation drawings, floor plans, structurals, everything's included in it, and then you can take that and do what you want with it. Our goal is to just move smoothly into a construction agreement with you once that preliminary agreement or preliminary proposal is presented. So
I would never get mad if somebody left us because we didn't fit them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds like for you guys, it's super important for like that dating. Like, you want to get along, or you want it to be a happy process for you and your client. And you're not just going to fight for the job because you need it, or you actually want to have like a successful journey, and you spend a lot of time with these people.
Successful marriage.
Yeah.
It is, right?
And marriage is hard.
No.
As we all know.
We just roll through it.
We just roll through it. No, you get married to an amazing woman like Michelle.
Yeah.
We had to throw that out.
Or Meg.
Yeah.
Or Phil.
Yeah. Phil's the wife in this scenario.
No, it is though. And I mean, like, we have had potential clients sit in our office and tell us they like everything we're saying, but builder XYZ over here is telling me he can do this for this much a square foot. And he said, if you guys just tell me you can do it for that much a square foot, I will sign with you right now. and we just say like, that's not how we do business. We go to a preliminary build agreement and we will tell you what it'll cost you per square foot. I can give you a rough budget that equals that what that builder said, but that's not going to get you what you've presented me that you want to build. Like if you want a 5,000 square foot home with a live-in suite and a 4-car garage, like you're not going to like what it looks like with that square footage budget that you've been given. So
yeah, I think people get caught up on like just like the price of like the square foot, but they don't actually think about all of the other prices to everything else.
Yeah, because you know, if you have a 5,000 square foot home that Brody just referenced, or 2,000 square foot home, often that 2,000 square foot home could cost more per square foot than that 5,000 square foot home because you're sticking a lot of the same stuff into that house, so the price doesn't get spread out over the bigger square footage. And, you know, some people in their square foot price include garages and decks in it to keep the number lower. Some just do based off living square footage. So you really have to do your education and figure out what does that price per square foot get you.
yeah.
How long does a PBA take? Like, is this like 2 months? It's client dependent.
It's client dependent how much information goes into it. You know, we've had some that are done, 3 months roughly, Brody, and some that have been, you know, a year in the process going through everything. It depends on the amount of detail that goes into there. Because like one of the things we do is during the architectural stage and the interior design, we're trying to make sure things line up. Then on top of that, we have to talk to a structural engineer as well. We get their feedback, so things might have to change as well in the design process.
There's a lot of forwards and backwards steps in the planning phases where like, this is the look I want, send it to structural, you know, you can do that, this is what it's going to cost, looking at that cost, adjusting the design, sending it back to okay, now you've got a lower cost, you know, openings, clear spans, those types of things. Like you don't always get exactly what you want unless you're willing to spend for it. Yeah.
And I think on one note, like I used to have a framing company before, and we'd always see where people didn't do the plan. They just got a set of plans and went to build the house. And then they would come in there and like, we don't like the way this window looks in this corner of the house. It's too close. We can't get a full piece of trim on there. Where during our process, we're really thinking that stuff out. So there's not those delays or extras that are happening, right, Brody?
Yeah. And
you
like
know, big ones like that window example, you work back and forth with the window manufacturer and the designer to make sure that that stuff's going to fit in there, right?
Yeah, and then, you know, the other side of it is like when people bring us plans, a lot of the times the building designers don't think about the overall cost of a home. So, you know, you get these modern farmhouse open concept living spaces and they come in and it's like, yeah, we can build this. It's going to need engineered steel, and that's going to, you know, double the price of your truss package, your floor and your roof package. And then they immediately say like, well, that open concept isn't that important to me. I can shrink all that. I can shrink the windows. You know, we can go with something along those lines. But they've already paid a building designer for those plans. So like to have them to go back to that building designer and chop up the drawing, it's something that we also find like if you come to us right away, we can help you through that building design process and kind of, you know,
and design something that fits
navigate
in the budget.
That, yeah.
Right. I think that's the big thing. That's where our expertise is in working with the designers, is staying within that budget. Because like Brody was saying, building architects or designers, they might have an average price that they're using per square foot, but it might not be up to today's pricing, or they might not take into account some of the finishes that you have going into it. So that's where some of those numbers for those guys can get might be wrong for what you're looking to build exactly in your property.
And especially in the last 5 years, because pricing has rapidly doubled on some items. So like, you know, even something from 2021.
I've got a perfect example for that. The house we built one house that was about 2,000 square feet, I think in 2018. And then we built it again in COVID. And I think it was probably 5 times the price.
Wow.
So
you're telling me, like, if someone's thinking, oh, you know, I'm going to do a rebuild, like, don't start with the design first. Like, you need to think of the build first and then work your way in, like, almost like ground up. And then once you have the I'm trying to think of the word, shelter, or then you go in and design.
Yeah, so we try and figure out through the whole thing like what you want to build, go off that design, and fit it all within the budget. Like there's a lot of back and forth, and then we'll
Yeah.
give you options too, and like our thoughts on the design, on the layout and stuff. And that's where we also lean on our trade partners for some of their expertise. You know, if you tell us you don't want any bulkheads in your house, then we're talking to the mechanical side of contractor as well, trying to figure out how to get all your mechanicals in there. Do we have to raise the floor or your walls a foot and to make everything flat, or go for the deeper truss to run everything through? So these are all the things that we're thinking about at that time, not during your walkthrough at rough-in stage. And you're like, I don't want any bulkheads, and then it's like, well, now what do we do, right? So, because we've been there, I've seen it. I've seen it from the framing side. I've seen it from before we started doing these agreements, where what a client wanted or what they thought they were getting is not what they ended up getting at the end, right? So I think that's really important, is to plan it out ahead of time. And also one of the benefits is if you are building your dream home here in the Okanagan and you sold your current home and have to rent, we can at least give you a timeline too, because if we don't plan it out and we're running into these issues on site, it's just delaying your project. So you now have more holding costs while you're building this house. You might have an extra month of rent, extra heating and cooling at that rental property as well.
Sounds like we need to plan. Doing your homework first is going to help you in the long way. That's what it sounds like to me. So, is there anything that I missed asking you about, or that you guys would like to share on PBA?
I think it's the most important part of the build. We spend a lot of time on it. There's a lot of detail that goes into it. It's really our Bible for your build. It sets out the expectations of what we have to deliver to you, right down to the floor direction. So there's nothing's open for interpretation, really. You know, we have had an example not too long ago where the flooring was put in the wrong way, and when we caught it, we just said to our contractor, you put the floor in the wrong way, and it's in here, it's in the agreement, it's in your guys' PO and the contract agreement as well, and it just got really no questions asked, got ripped up and redone.
Yeah, so it saves you guys and the client.
Correct.
Yeah, and it in our experience, it makes for just a smoother project. Like it is a stressful 3-4 months of the planning and all the decisions you have to make. But then once the project starts, it makes for a more stress-free project. It makes for a smoother timeline. Everybody knows, what their scope of work is, what their specs are. Once, you start digging, things do go smoothly. And it's something that people don't really understand the value of if they've never built a house kind of on the fly, where you have a set of drawings and you just start building, and then you figure it out as you go, and you are picking finishes as you go, and you need to pick a finish by Friday or it's going to delay things. And
I think that's the big one, is people are busy, right, Brody? Like they don't have time to always go shopping for us to get something by the Friday deadline that's been given, so we can order it in time to keep the project going. Whereas this here, you're getting all your shopping done at the beginning. You work with professional interior designers and our staff, and we just kind of go out, we pick everything. You can see what it kind of looks like. So that relieves the stress for the clients, I'd say. Because I remember when I first started, people always say, never build a house with your significant other, otherwise you get a divorce. We haven't had anybody get a divorce yet, have we? That we built for?
No.
Not while we've built it. So
not while we've
they're
built
always
it.
happy.
They're always happy. We have had some husbands just flat out say, if I don't get that, I will never hear the end of it. So even though you found me some cost savings,
or you're going to go over budget.
She picked that, and we will get it, because
the women.
Yeah, they hold the trump card.
That was actually the most interesting thing. Since I started building, was I always thought that you'd be talking to men, like man to man, but it's ideal. We deal more with the wives for the build.
I believe
typically,
that.
right? Like it's a lot of, they have the taste for what they're looking for the house, and most guys are like, oh, I just want to care where my barbecue is going in the garage, and they don't really care about anything else.
Yeah.
So,
unless you're in the industry, like you had a lot of say in your build.
Brad's different.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're the one that just told Michelle this is happening.
Very hands-on.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, I would assume that it's females, but I do think that as a female, because I can speak on this, you can't. that we do get caught up, and I think we've touched on this before, but like it's like women even planning weddings or something. Instagram, social media, Pinterest, like you kind of have
Don't
to.
say Pinterest.
You kind of have to have like it's not real. There's filters, like expectations. Like I do think we need to, just not go to those things. You can kind of like pick a theme or a like, but that doesn't mean you're going to get that photo in that. It's probably, in Italy somewhere or something.
Yeah,
else.
I think with Pinterest and stuff for inspiration is you can go down a dark path pretty quickly or a rabbit hole with looking at stuff, and you're like, I like this, I like this, I like this, and I like this, and then you just keep changing your mind, and then at the end of the day, you really don't know what you want.
Yeah.
I think it's best if you pick a few photos that you like for inspiration, and then go shopping for the stuff that you're gonna want.
Then delete the account.
Yeah.
And don't look at it anymore.
Don't look at the kitchen photos, especially if you're like August to October planning, because then November, December, the new colors will come out, the new themes will come out, and suddenly you'll be like, oh, maybe I want to use the new color, the Benjamin Moore paint color for 2026.
And kind of we're on this whole thing too, is like with the pricing, like when Brody said before, you could save 15 grand. When you're looking at Pinterest or Houzz or wherever you're looking, or Instagram, you can quickly erode that $15,000 with this extra feature that you've thrown into your kitchen, your cabinetry, or whatever throughout the house, your blinds or your lights.
And also on that note of like, how long do these take? Like they could take 2 years if you want to. And like, it's a paid service. So if you get me to get you 10 different options for one item, that's obviously going to take time. Yeah. So it's going to take longer. It's going to cost more to work through. And then you're only going to pick one of them. So, 2 or 3 options isn't a big deal. 10 options, 15 options, like it's getting crazy.
I mean, the handrail behind us here, that was how many options? 6 or 7?
There were a number of options to try to save some price on it. But the look, that's the thing, is like you can price it as many ways. You still have to take that dollar value versus the look of it
that you want, right?
And that is what the clients wanted, and that's what they eventually chose for it. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't say it enough. If you guys are thinking about building, it sounds like you need to do your planning, and you need to do your planning with the B's, Brody and Brad. Well, mostly.
Brad doesn't do any.
Yeah, I was gonna say Brody. It honestly just sounds like it takes headaches away. It's, a little bit of that hard work at the beginning, but it will help you in the long time. But if you are interested, it sounds like you should start sooner than later, because it is a bit of a investing some time on planning, and you're not just like waking up one day and being like, you know what, I've always wanted a farmhouse. So like you do need a couple months to work through it.
Typically what we do is we build people's dreams, right? So we're not building a spec house or a entry-level home. So it does take the time to plan. And I would say it's probably about 6 months on average, right? Yeah. For the design, and then
from the very first meetings,
till we get, like, we'll be in for building permit. So it's from there, it's 6 months to get your build permit, right? So, like going back to that whole dating analogy that we used, it's like people don't realize that it's not just the build portion. There's the whole design process we've got to get through, and then we got to get through the warranty period. So, we could be with you longer than some people's relationships, right? So that's why that portion is pretty important, to get along with each other.
Well, thank you guys for being so transparent and helping us learn more about, I cannot say it, preliminary building agreement.
Preliminary building agreement.
There you go.
Preliminary.
Preliminary.
PBA.
PBA. Thanks for watching.